Hello and welcome everyone to our 66th session of Alcasa. My name is Michael and today I'm talking to Christopher Thompson from London in the United Kingdom. Christopher has an extensive background in real estate sales and marketing, listings and portals, focused on especially lead generation and sales, and helps real estate brokers to sell more faster. Chris, welcome to the show. Why don't you introduce yourself to our audience?
Yeah, hi Michael. It's good to speak with you, and glad that you are doing well, obviously during this lockdown. So yeah, my name's Chris. I'm the owner of a company called Property Portal Marketing, and also the owner of a company called Property Share Network. So I've been involved with real estate now. I think this is my 10th year. I work with a range of different clients across Europe. And also one in America, funny enough, which is good for us. And I can give you a brief rundown, obviously, of the company. So PPM was formed in 2016 after I left one of the biggest portals in the UK, which focuses on international real estate. And it's a full-service 360 marketing company, which helps agents with marketing of their properties on portals. And also, other services involved with that as well. And then Property Share Network was set up in 2019, and that's an online collaboration platform to help agents collaborate with each other locally, nationally, and internationally. So,
awesome.
So yeah.
You started very early on your entrepreneurial career. How did everything start?
It started from actually one of my clients who I knew quite well when I was working for the portal, asked me if I could do a couple of bits and pieces of marketing for them on the side. And then I had another client, funnily enough, who also came to me and asked me to do like the bits and pieces as well. And then across both of those two, I then sort of developed the idea that potentially there was something more in it than just doing something on the side. I know the market really, really well. I know the international market really well. As I say, I've been helping clients for a long, long time. A lot of my clients, I've known them for sort of 5-6 years. Some of them I've even known for about 10 years. And yeah, it just went from there really, which was and grew from strength to strength, which is really good for us. So yeah, off the back of two clients, I've managed to set up these two companies, and as I say, I'm now helping estate agents, pan-European and the US.
Awesome. You started also, and you were also collaborating in the online magazine, A Place in the Sun. That was in 2014.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, give us an overview of the focus there, and also what you did there contributing to this venture.
So my initial experience actually started off at another portal that was between 2010 and I think it was up to about 2013. And then I sort of took my experience over to A Place in the Sun, which is the biggest, as I say, one of the biggest portals that I've worked for. And I used to sell advertising space on the website, as well as sell exhibition space, as well as sell within the magazine as well. So they had a number of different channels and they do have a number of different channels that can be used to market to consumers who would be interested in buying property. And then I used to help agents sell their property, to those interested buyers across all three of those spectrums. So.
You mentioned just the very first listings portal you were contributing to. That was the Lead Galaxy, correct?
That was Lead Galaxy in the Move channel, yes. They are still around as a company as well, which is good. And yeah, that was the first one I worked for. Initially, it was my first sort of media sales job, as it were. I've done sales now for a very long time, but that was my initial sort of foray into the property market. Really, really enjoyed my time there. Worked up to the position of an account director, which was good. In the space of a relatively short time as well. And that's when I first met a few of the clients that I have now, funny enough, which is really, really good. I think client loyalty is an exclusive and cherished thing. So yeah, that's, as I say, that's where I first started, and then met some colleagues there. One of those colleagues then moved over to a place in the sun, and then a couple of years after, I then joined a place in the sun as well. So
you started off like 2010. We talk about 10 years of portal experience, real estate portal experience. Can you can you guide us a little bit through and walk us a little bit through how has pricing models and lead generation and the entire market evolved during those 10 years?
It's a big question, that, because there's so many fundamental elements that are involved with portal marketing, and obviously the more that the digital side has come into play, and of course the more the social media side has come into play as well, the bigger the market and the bigger the exposure agents can possibly gain from it. For me, portal marketing has always been a big part of an agent's marketing strategy, and I think it still should be. But as I say, there are lots of other ways that they can get leads. I mean, you're looking at some big portals such as A Place in the Sun, Rightmove, are two that just spring to mind in the UK, and then you've got others that will cover the pan-European market. You've got others that will cover the American market, others that will cover the Australian market. In terms of pricing models, look, they all differ. But traditionally, there's always two models. There's a fixed fee model, and there's a cost per lead model as well. And of course, the more successful that a portal becomes, generally, the more expensive that the portal becomes to advertise on as well, because they know that if they're successful, then agents will stick with them, because if agents make sales from them, then everybody's happy. In terms of other forms of advertising, as I quoted with social media, look, that really depends on how many people you want to reach. So things like Facebook, for example, which is one of the biggest social media channels at the moment, certainly for exposure and lead generation and brand awareness, the cost of that really depends on how many people you want to reach. So the more people you want to reach, the more expensive it will become. And there's also LinkedIn. There's Instagram, although I'm not a huge fan of Instagram. I don't really believe it's the right it offers the right sort of exposure, certainly not for the age group, but it's always mixed on Instagram. But yeah, in terms of social media, look, if you're not on social media and you're an agent, then you're missing out on a big proportion of the market. So when it comes to any kind of marketing, my message has always been, you should have a really, really good mix across all the channels that are available to you. And those channels should involve portals and also should involve other things like social media as well. That way you are fully engaging with your audience that's available to you, and utilizing the market. I think one of the big things that always comes out of it, or certainly when I talk to agents, is there are so many different portals out there. So many different portals, and it becomes quite confusing, I think, to when it comes to deciding which ones you should go and advertise on. It's quite confusing, and also it can be quite expensive as well. So one of the key things is that there is so much more to portal advertising than just the cost. Some of the best media sales people have made the switch across to property, and most of those, some of those work in property portals. And I think one of the biggest things that agents tend to be led by when it comes to portal advertising is price. They tend to be led on what's the best offer they can get, and if the offer is good for them, they'll go, right, okay, yeah, we'll jump at that. Whereas actually, what they should be doing is taking a step back and analyzing that portal and deciding whether it's the best place for them to advertise. As I say, there's so many things to take into account when it comes to portal advertising, not just the price. So my message is always, don't be swayed by the price. Take a step back, analyze the portal. Is it what you want? Is it going to target the right people? And then look at the price. Answer those initial questions first before you dive head in first.
Absolutely.
Because once you're in, you're tied in for 6 to 12 months. A lot of them will sort of tie you in for 6 to 12 months. And let's not forget, when we look at property, the average person who's sort of coming onto a portal the first time, it's very rarely do they buy within the first 3 months. Mm-hmm. So, when you're analyzing your portals, yes, you do need to analyze over a period of 6 to 12 months. But initially, when you first look at that portal, you also need to understand that, or analyze, is it the right portal for your marketplace? Mm-hmm. And if it isn't, don't be tempted by the price.
What's the best due diligence you recommend then to conduct a real estate agent or a brokerage firm to say, okay, at least look at those data points, to make sure that you have an idea of what you get? What are the best?
There's a whole host of questions that people should be asking portals. My business, essentially, that's what we do. We help clients when it comes to portal advertising, and we advise them on how they can go about this and what the best strategy is for them when it does come to advertising on portals. But I think the main things are what's your target market and what is their target market. Just an example, and I know it's a really simple example, but if you want to target the French market, don't go and advertise on a UK portal, mm-hmm. Because it's not going to work for you. Go and target, or go and advertise on a portal that does target the French market. Mm-hmm. So it's little things like that. Things like, what other things does the portal offer you? For example, is it just a website, or do they have additional things on top of that which will bring more people and more exposure? So. Mm-hmm. Again, A Place in the Sun, for example, has the exhibition side. It has the magazine, it has the TV show, and it has the website. So there's three other ways of an agent gaining exposure, and also there's three other ways that people can visit the website. So if the TV show is on, they go to the website. If the exhibition is on, they go to the website. Mm-hmm. Look at the brand name. How big is that brand name? Where do they rank on places like Google and Bing and the search engines? You don't want to be advertising on a portal that is ranked 12th on the page, because mm-hmm. the chances of somebody finding it is going to be fairly slim. That doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad portal, but again, it's something else you need to take into account mm-hmm. When you're looking at it. So there's a whole host of things that need to be looked at. One of the big ones as well is do they have an agent back office, for example? Some portals don't have an agent back office, which means that you can't. The only way of you tracking the leads that come through is through your CRM. Mm-hmm. You can't log into the back office and check the number of leads. So it's little things like that are fundamental and rather important to analyzing your portal strategy. And of course, if you get it wrong, it's quite difficult to get out of it, and it's quite expensive. So
yeah. You are very focused, or you have been also very focused on international portals.
Yes.
I talked a lot to people who say, is there actually other international buyers? Because a lot of people say, I have this data point, and 99% of the property transactions are being conducted within 10 square feet of where you live, and so there's no market for international property listings, so don't go out of it. They tell me
there's always a market mm-hmm. For international real estate. I think always a market, but it does depend on what type of market you're looking to reach. Mm-hmm. There is always, if you're in a big city, the chances are that it's more going to be the investment side that you're looking at. So people who are going to buy for the rental side or the commercial side. Whereas if you're on a coastal resort, it's more going to be, holiday homes or permanent living and things like that. It's very rare that you'll get an agent who will cover everybody in the market. That's very rare that happens. But yeah, and there are portals that will cover all sides. But it's really important that you, as an agent, understand your market and understand your target market as well. You don't want to be advertising on an investment portal, of which there are a few, if you're looking for holiday home buyers, because you're not going to attract the right audience. And again, you're going to be throwing, money after money that's never going to get you anywhere. Mm-hmm. So Yeah, I mean, there's as I say, there's portals that will cover all types of market, but understand who your target market is, and advertise in the right areas.
You just mentioned, you just differentiated between investment market and also holiday buyers market.
Yeah.
Isn't that the same, or where do you do the distinction? I've never understood that.
It's I think the distinction is more geared towards
Return on investment, or
yeah, potentially, because I mean, if you buy a holiday home, you have the option of renting that out, but and obviously gaining an income off that, which is in itself an investment. But you also want to, but that person who buys that holiday home will also, firstly, they may not want to rent it out.
Got it.
They may want to, have it themselves. It might be used as their pension for when they come to sell it in a few years' time. They may want to, as I say, use it themselves for holidays and things like that. Whereas, so that's the holiday home market.
Mm-hmm.
When I talk about the investment market, I mean things like people that are purely buying to rent out, and that's it. They rent it out long term. So it could be just a home that they buy that they rent out long term, or it could be, a hotel or a business, or so that's the difference between the two, really.
Okay, understood. So because right now, like,
sometimes there's a crossover, but it's a minimal crossover.
It's become quite blurry because of Airbnb and holiday vacation and stuff. So sometimes you buy holiday homes in order to rent it out as well.
Yeah.
But then
correct.
But I get it.
But I wouldn't call that. Yeah.
No, go ahead, please. You wouldn't call that.
So places like Airbnb, that's not an investment for me.
Okay.
You're making money off it, but it's not. It's not an investment. I wouldn't. An investment is something you can go and sell at a percentage yield. That's what I would call an investment.
Okay. So there has to be appreciation of the value of the property as well.
Correct. For me personally, for it to be classed as an investment, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Interestingly, you mentioned, when we were talking about marketing, you were not mentioning websites for real estate agents. Do you think that nowadays, let's say you start to become real estate agents, you plan to become one. Yeah. Do you think a real estate agent nowadays needs a website? Should he even or she bother about it? Or would you say, you know what, just have your Facebook page, just have your LinkedIn, and just list it on properties and do some social media advertisement? That's it? Or what's your opinion about that?
Personally, I think an agent should always have a website. Mm-hmm. Websites bring so much credibility for anybody who's looking to buy property. It's the first step on being able to trust somebody. Mm-hmm. That's, for me, is very, very important. It's a bit like staying in a hotel, for example, right? Mm-hmm. You find the hotel on booking.com or one of those other websites, for example, but the first thing you do is you go and check that hotel's website, or certainly I do anyway, mm-hmm. because I want to check a few things. I want to check their images, I want to check their prices and things like that. If they don't have a website, I'll be like, well, hang on a minute, do they actually exist? Mm-hmm. How can I trust them and things like that? And I know it's a bit of a weird analogy, but a similar sort of principle applies. Mm-hmm. And when you're buying a property, it's a big thing. And if someone doesn't have a website, as much as they can probably get by without it. Mm-hmm. And I know a few people that do. I don't recommend that approach. Mm-hmm. I think the reason why people or agents sometimes don't have a website and tend to rely more on sort of Facebook and social media and things like that is because of the amount of money it takes to promote that website and build up the search rankings. Mm-hmm. With things like, with tools like SEO. That if you don't know what you're doing when it comes to SEO, it can be very expensive. Mm-hmm. and very, very difficult to build up the search rankings. But yeah, as I say, a website is just, it's a very simple tool to have. It just builds credibility, it builds trust, and also it gets people looking at your full portfolio of properties. Mm-hmm. Gets people making inquiries, and without it, I think people will struggle.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I talk a lot to agents, and I see that it is like very indifferent. Like a lot of people say, yes, I definitely want to. Others say like it's if I start, once I start, I have to, as you say, like I have to maintain it. I have to go
Yeah.
like then into totally different new topics where, well, I just want to be like a real estate agent. I just don't want to be like, I'm not a tech guy. So, I prefer to have like maybe someone maintain it and do that. Or I even go, it's funny, like I talk to so many people and sometimes they say, you know what, the best is word of mouth, talking to the neighbors. And I'm getting the leads by, I don't know, joining a golf course, and it's very it's very diverse, the approach and also the experiences real estate.
It is. I think it depends on where you are, to be perfectly honest. I think it depends on what country you work in and how relaxed that country is. So I think and I'm not huge on this market, but I think in America is a prime example, whereby you'll have a lot more brokers and real estate agents possibly working from home than you will be in somewhere like Spain or Portugal, because it's a different market. I personally, unless I knew that person, I personally would find it difficult to certainly build rapport in the first instance with them, unless they had a website, I think, because I'd find it difficult to initially build that rapport that's needed, I think. But yeah, I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm just saying I'm not a big fan of it.
Got it.
And again, I do think it depends on where you are, and it depends on what system you're in. So yeah, you have to, again, it's something to take into account. And obviously, look, with the digital age moving more and more towards different environments, there will, as much as I think there will always be a reason for having a website, the amount of benefits it brings to you, I can understand why more and more people choose not to. But it's not an approach that I would certainly recommend.
What's your opinion about real estate certifications? There are a lot of awards, there are a lot of certifications which you have to work a lot for in order to gain them. And then, you are suddenly part of an entire network sometimes, which brings a lot of leads and stuff. And I don't know, I assume that sometimes you also have to pay a certain license fee in order to join or to remain in the network and stuff. What's your experience there, and what's your opinion there?
I'm a big fan of them. I think they work very, very well. One of the big memberships that's present in the UK for international property professionals is the AIPP. Now we are members. We are actually members of the AIPP, and we work very closely with the AIPP and their sister site, which is the AIPO. And I know there are lots and lots of international accreditations and licenses for real estate agents. And again, I think it's pushing that message of being part of a trusted network. If you have to pay to be part of something, then I think it means that you will adhere to the rules of that network, and you just become a trusted member. And if I have the opportunity as a buyer to buy through a trusted member, I would much rather buy through a trusted member than a non-trusted member. But again, it also depends on how well I know that agent as well. But I'm a big advocate of licenses and awards and recognition and memberships. I think they work very, very well in the market.
How about your opinion on MLS? In the USA, the MLS system is, is the local system in order to aggregate all the data, and everyone has access to it. Once you have once you have access to the MLS system as an agent, first of all, does that exist in the UK? Such a system as well?
No. Okay. No, there isn't an MLS system as such. Certainly not on the scale of the MLS system that you find in America. And I think that's because it's been so established there for many, many years, and they've got it working very, very well, that I think it would be difficult to set up in the UK, or certainly for Europe, just the way that they work. There are obviously websites that try to work a little bit like an MLS, in the sense that you can aggregate the properties onto that network. Then agents can search for listings and then split the commissions. So things like obviously Property Share Network, for example, I wouldn't classify us as an MLS. I would classify us as an online collaboration platform for real estate agents to collaborate locally, nationally, and internationally. But I wouldn't classify us as an MLS. But in terms of the environment that they're trying to promote, which is a collaborative environment where everyone has access to the data, everyone can see what sort of commission that they'll earn off the back of it and things like that, then yeah, that's what that's what they're trying to do. So yeah. But I mean, I to be honest, I haven't really dealt with the MLS system in America too much, so I can't really give any further thoughts on it. But I don't think that system as such will work so well in Europe as it does in America.
Got it. Can we dig a little bit deeper right now into two of your main businesses, the PPM and the property share network? First of all, I would like to go a little bit into the PPM and say, what for services are you offering, so that we have like an overview. What can people get from you?
Sure. So there's 4 different services we offer for the market. The first one is obviously the portal marketing and advice service that we offer, which is more of a consultancy-based service on a sort of a quarterly basis. We advise clients on portal strategy and portal marketing and making full use of portals for lead generation and the agency. We offer an XML feed building and maintaining service, and we do that for most of the major portals. We also offer an email marketing service and a database management service with that as well. And then we also offer a social media marketing service as well, which sort of deals with management of social media page on Facebook, and also deals with targeted advertising that Facebook offers as well. As I say, we don't. If an agent wants to use Instagram, we can do it. We don't. Certainly, from our experience, it hasn't worked too well, but we can do it if an agent wants us to. So, and then we also do little other bits and pieces. So we carry out a little bit of basic SEO work, although we have a partner for that as well. And we do we carry out basic blog writing and news stories and things like that as well. So.
Got it. Instagram doesn't work because of the opt-in, or let's say lead gen is not like Instagram is more like on scrolling and less on typing quickly and commenting, or what's the reason?
I think Instagram is the types of people that use Instagram is more the youth. I think it's a lot more image based than it is description based. But yeah, I think it's more biased towards, in my opinion anyway, it's more biased towards sort of the 16 to the 24-year-olds. And of those, a very small proportion of them are going to have the resources to buy an overseas property. And also for me personally as well, I think when it comes to looking at property, yes, images are very, very important because they are the first thing that people see. But also a description is just as important as well. That backs up the images. And obviously on Instagram, I think it's mainly on images. And as much as people can click through and things like that, as I say, the age group on Instagram is more biased towards
makes total sense. As per emotions, you're more playing with the emotions with some nice I don't know, like drones which are showing the property and stuff. But in fact, is it? And then we come back most probably. Okay, we could then argue. Okay, for real estate home buyers on the coastal region, maybe yes, Instagram, because it is for vacational purposes, but like for investment purposes, definitely not, because there you rather play with an Excel sheet and make and attract potential buyers via that one.
It depends on the market that you're working in. To be honest on that. So
a lot of agents say TikTok. They're using TikTok, especially in the US, that they get a lot of reach there. And it works quite well as well, and which also then, in a certain way, contradicts to the younger generation, because there again we have younger folks. Do you have any experience there?
I don't have experience of using TikTok. there's a lot more people talking about it, but again, I think it's more a social thing than it is a holiday home purchase thing or an investment purchase thing. Yeah. It's a lot more visual, and I don't believe that. I think there's a limit on the timing of property, videos you can post on TikTok and things like that. It's not. I mean, it's something I'm looking into for a lot of the agents I work with, but at the moment, I haven't got any substantial evidence that says, right, you need to be using this. This is going to be brilliant for you, and things like that. Potentially, where it could work quite well is with rentals, because the rentals, I don't think the description is as important as it is in sales. I think if you're going to rent a property, that's where the imagery comes through a lot more, and that probably it might work better with TikTok than it does. TikTok, might work better for the rentals market than it does for sales, but it's something I'm looking into, and I'm prepared to promote if I can get some substantial evidence that it would work it would work really well. But at the moment, I haven't got that.
Got it. I'm
also quite old school as well, so I prefer the old school ways of doing things. I'm fully invested in the digital form, in the digital arena, but obviously part of my job is to, if I go and recommend something, part of my job is to make sure that I'm recommending the right thing. So, as I say, I'm looking into it, and until I find some substantial evidence that proves me wrong, I'll stick with the things that are working.
Absolutely, and I guess your main metric is sales. Your main metric is lead generation and closure. Yeah, no, because there are people say, yes, go for sales, but also don't underestimate branding. So let's say 20% branding and then 80% sales, and use branding. Use, for example, TikTok. Use Instagram for branding purposes. That means you might retarget or have been shown in the feed of someone for like maybe 12 months now, and he was not intentionally buying, but now he wants to buy. So who's going to hear? He's going to reach out to the person who has been showing up in the feed for the last 12 months, rather for nobody. What's your opinion on branding versus sales?
There's an argument for both, definitely. I think the more you're seen as an agent, the better it's going to be for you. A big thing that's being talked about at the moment, especially, not that I want to talk too much about coronavirus, but obviously that is a big thing right now. And it's severely affecting the market, and that's the global market. I've had a lot of agents, and I've done a lot of topics on this recently, on Facebook Live videos and things like that, is actually whether an agent should continue to advertise and continue to push their brand. And the answer to that is yes. The simple reason why is because if you don't push your brand, believe you me, somebody else will. And the ones that keep pushing their brand at the moment are going to be the ones that people remember when things do bounce back to normal. You just have to make sure that you are not throwing money away, and obviously make sure that you're pushing your brand in the right online areas. But branding is a big part of selling and renting, to that matter. And you've got to build your brand the right way. And there's a number of ways that you can build your brand, but the more successful your brand name is, the more successful your company will be as a result. I mean, all you've got to do is look at brands like Fine & Country, for example. Fine & Country are a huge brand, not just in the UK, but across. They've got branches across Spain, Portugal, America. I think they're in the American market, and they have built their brand, and it's very, very well known. If you're looking to buy property, chances are you'll know Fine & Country. Even if you're not, you'll know them as a brand anyway. So I mean, push your brand. It's, as I say, just as important as it is for making sales, and it will help you make sales as well.
At PPM, your packages, is it? Do you have like some fixed packages? Because before you said like you can have some social media, the XML feed, the listings, also the consultancy. If I go to the website, is there something I can like more or less like click and say, okay, I would like to have this package? And if so, can you illustrate those?
Yes. So everything is available on the website. We don't hide anything away. We're very open. We're very honest. We're very transparent.
Mm-hmm.
You can actually go to our website, which is propertyportalmarketing.com,
Mm-hmm.
and it'll tell you everything with regards to the packages on there. I mean, just as an example, the quarterly portal consultancy is €300 per quarter. So nice and easy. We don't charge. We definitely don't price ourselves out of the market.
Mm-hmm.
And we are fair with our pricing. The other thing I don't do is I will not guarantee you anything. I don't believe in that way of business. I've never believed in that way of business. So yeah, that's the one thing that you'll get from me is I won't guarantee anything unless it's something specific. But yeah, 99 times out of 100, don't guarantee anything. So
your expertise on the XML feed, for people who don't know what it is, can you give us then an overview, and also then how to use it, how to create it?
Yes, I can. So in real basic terms, an XML feed is a bit of software that creates a bridge between your website and the portal website. So it means that instead of uploading properties manually onto a portal, the XML feed will do it for you automatically. And the way that the XML feed works is it reads off the agent's website and then copies and pastes that onto the portal website. Just an XML feed structure. It's a really good way, as I say, of being able to automatically upload properties in bulk. And can save a heck of a lot of time, especially if you're on 3 or 4 portals. If you've got to upload 100 properties on each, that's 400 properties manually. It takes time to do that, whereas an XML feed will do it, within a period of 12 to 24 hours. There are portals that are introducing and have already introduced real-time data feeds, which have been a big positive for the market because it means properties will be updated and uploaded in real time. But as it stands, there are other portals that will do that within a period of 12 to 24 hours. They're relatively, normally what happens is a portal will send over the spec, their XML feed spec. You can give that to a developer. They will then build it, and then they'll send you the link that you can upload to the portal. Generally, there's a number of ways of building a feed, but the 2 most effective ways are either the developer gains access to your database and does it that way, or they do a scrape.
Got it. And the best thing then is just to upload that via a link to the website.
Yes,
and
correct.
Then the link always remains the same, and then the developer enables the fact that I have my own website. I uploaded the listings. It's gonna get pushed to that link directly, so it's gonna get synced,
Correct.
and then all the portals which are connected to it, or where I left the link, then or the developer left the link, it's also then feeding it. Okay, perfect.
Correct. Yeah. So it's literally a feed of properties from your own website to the portal website.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I'm super excited because we're about to launch our XML feed feature, and I'm not a technical guy, so I still need to ask some basic questions, even though I'm defining the specs for the developers on what to build. So let's see if that's gonna work. Concerning the concerning the XML feed, are there any standards where you would say, okay, try to make it, I don't know, like in XYZ and standard, I don't know, ISO 280, or is there anything I need to deal with from a developer?
Yeah, I mean, there's pretty standard formats that you can build feeds in. A lot of the major international portals will use a similar format. But it's always best in that instance to ask the portal for the XML feed spec. They can then send that over to you. The XML feed spec will normally come in the format of a Word document, and it'll just be a table with the various sort of fields, the various fields that you'll have to fill in. And there will be mandatory fields that you need to fill in as well. And then obviously the image links and things like that. So yeah, there's always a there's always a format that you'll need to build a feed to, in order to get it right. So
perfect. Okay.
Sometimes that's why it's best going through a company like like PPM, for example. Because we know we have the formats already. We've built hundreds of feeds for many different agents, and if you want your properties uploaded quickly, then sometimes it's best to speak to a company as I say like ourselves.
Perfect. Property share network. Give us an overview on this one.
So Property Share Network was, as I say, set up in 2019. January 2019 was when we actually launched the network. And the whole idea of the network is to make it easier for international agents to collaborate with each other easier and quicker, locally, nationally, and internationally. So there's, at the moment, agents tend to collaborate by sending each other's XML feeds to one another and uploading properties on each other's websites and vice versa. And even though there's benefits in that, it's also doing that kind of method is also quite antiquated. And once you give your XML feed out to an agent, that agent can then potentially send your feed on to several different people once it's uploaded to their website. And there's a number of different complications that can occur doing it that way. So I sort of saw a gap in the market for an online collaboration platform whereby agents can upload their feed, and it basically works a lot like I think the best analogy is a comparison website. So that, I mean, at the moment we've got just over 16,500 listings live. That's from agents across Spain, Portugal, France, Italy, Greece, Turkey, and Cyprus. And once an agent's uploaded an XML feed to the site and become a member of the network, if they've got a client who's looking for a property and that agent doesn't have the right property for them, at the moment what happens is if they don't have a collaboration in place, they lose the client. Whereas with a site like Property Share Network, they can go onto the network with that client. They can search for a property from a number of different agents, find properties that would suit their client, and obviously make an inquiry about collaborating with the agent. And then it just runs as a normal collaboration would. But it just saves a lot of time. For just as an example, the agent in question doesn't need to visit 10 different websites or doesn't need to make 10 different calls to find the right property for their client. They can jump onto the network and find it nicely and easily.
I think it was like 2 weeks ago that I talked to Teresa from San Francisco, and she is building the Referral Marketing Network. I don't know if you watched the episode, and she's doing that based on blockchain, saying, you know, there's a lot of, let's say, referrals going on. There's a lot of, collaboration going on. But in fact, like, there's no common ground in order to make sure that legally everyone who deserves it gets the proper share of the commission. Is that also something which Property Share Network ensures to make sure that like everyone gets like a certain share of the commission?
So the network is designed only for two-way splits. It's not designed for any more than that, because it starts to get a little bit complicated if you've got 3 or 4-way splits. A lot of agents, again, it depends on what market you're in as well, but a lot of agents also don't really like getting involved in 3 or 4-way splits because it, as I say, the steps to it become complicated.
They multiply themselves.
And of course, the more steps you have, the less money you earn as well as an agent. So the site is designed purely for 2-way splits. This morning, we actually launched, taken us a while to sort of figure out the best way of doing this, but this morning we actually launched a new feature on the site which allows agents to tell each other, you know, what commission can be earned off the back of it, and agents can see what commission they'll earn off the back of selling that particular property. So we've launched that this morning, which is good and should benefit our agents moving forward. We, as much as we are always there to get involved if disputes occur, the legalities of that and the policing of it does become difficult because there are contracts and things like that which we don't particularly want to get involved in. We have to trust that the agents who become part of the network We have to have an element of trust for those agents that are part of the network, that they will use it responsibly. The network is designed to be open and honest. We want our agents who are on the network to be open and honest. We are there if there's any agents that, in inverted commas, abuse it. But it's difficult. Firstly, it's difficult to police, and secondly, it's not something that we particularly would want to get involved in fully if anything did occur. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. It hasn't happened yet. So we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
On this note, the, let's say, B2B market, agent to agent market. Is there a lot going on? Is it a lot that, Tom talks to Anna locally, and they're both based in London, and Paul is looking for a listing in Spain, even though he should actually go directly to a broker and to an agent in Spain. He talks still to Anna because she's like she's his neighbor. So and then Anna reaches out to an agent in Spain. Is that happening a lot, or what is triggering the B2B market on agents?
Starting to happen more and more, I think. There are agents in the UK that sell property in Spain and are partnered with agents in Spain. I think it's always been done the way that it should, not necessarily that it should be done, but it's always been done a certain way, which is if people are looking to buy property in Spain, they'll fly out and have a look around. And that's definitely the case. But also there is an argument for saying that, and there are agents that do it already. I know a few, and I work with a few, whereby they have an office in the UK, for example, and they can then obviously meet that person on a face-to-face basis, answer those questions, without that person necessarily having to fly out. They can then build up that relationship with that person whilst they're on a face-to-face chat, and then obviously once they fly out, they can then meet the partner agent. So yeah, there is a market for it. I think you have to be careful when you do it, but there's definitely a market for it. At the moment, the site is more designed for the local market. So if you're in Spain, it's designed for agents who want to collaborate in Spain. However, as I say, we do have agents that are based in the UK who want to collaborate with Spanish partners, and vice versa. And I do think it will grow over time.
And locally, the B2B market is quite dense. So there's a lot going on, agent to agent, I assume.
There is, yeah. I mean, agents always want to be able to sell direct for obvious reasons. But at the same time, if they don't collaborate, then and they don't have the right property for that client, then all that's going to happen is that client will go somewhere else. And I don't know about you, but I'd prefer to get 50% than get nothing.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
So collaboration is a good thing, I think. I'm a big advocate for collaboration, and that's what PSN is designed to do, to ensure it's done in the right way.
Is there a legally bound commission in London which need to be charged, or what's the legal landscape there?
So in London, there is a lot less of a collaboration market in London, certainly for London to London agents. It's very unheard of that you'll get an agents collaborating on a property. Where it's more popular is with agents in Spain and the other the other countries I've mentioned. That's where it's a lot more popular. In terms of an agent split, I mean, the agent split itself is always 50-50 unless there's, unless there's 3 or 4 parties involved. But there isn't necessarily a set percentage. I mean, it always depends on what an agent charges. Obviously, a seller, but there isn't a set.
And how much does an agent normally charge to a seller? And normally the seller pays.
Yeah, again, it depends. It depends entirely on the market. But if you take Spain, for example, and I believe, there's a few other ones I need to check which countries. But the majority of those countries that I've mentioned already, majority of those will always charge the seller commission, and
And in the
they are
UK?
in UK it's the same.
Okay.
In UK,
And is
same,
there
yeah.
in the UK is there a certain commission which agents can charge, or is it also, because I also heard there are a lot of more new brokerages saying we have a flat fee?
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's a number of ways to do it. I mean, there's the Purple Bricks, for example, who came out into the market a couple of years ago. They offer a flat fee, so they charge people up, for example, $9.95 to sell a person's property. But there is also the way of going through an agent, like a high street agent, and selling via a commission. It really depends on the type of property. But agent's commission is anywhere from sort of 1% to probably 3%, 1% to 3%.
Okay, that's okay.
But I mean, a lot of my market is the international side. I don't really. I have had one or two UK clients, but I more deal for the international side because that's what I've been doing the last 10 years. But yeah, UK is around about, say, 1% to 3%. Spain, it can be anything from 3% to 10%.
Yeah.
It can be.
I think it really depends there on the rural areas there, and they charge normally more, and then the urban areas charge less.
Yeah, exactly.
A little bit about the property market in the UK.
Okay.
What's your? I've talked locally here in Zurich to a lot of people who have invested in properties in the UK because it's quite favorable. I think
it is very
tax wise, is it, or legal wise? Why is that?
You're getting into an area I don't particularly know too much about, if I'm being honest, Michael. But certainly, having lived here, the UK, there's a number of benefits for investing in the UK. A number of reasons why people invest in the UK. The rental market is very, very good here. It's always been very, very buoyant. The rental yield is very good. In London, it's always quite high. Rental returns are quite high. Having said that, property prices are very high as well.
So I assume.
I mean, the economy. Look, the economy plays a big part here. London and the UK has a very, very strong economy, or it certainly did before the outbreak. But yeah, it's always been a really, really good place to invest. So
then I assume that's percentage-wise ownership versus rental. It's much more on rentals.
I don't know on that front, to be honest. I don't know. I mean, there is a very strong rental market in the UK, and there is a very strong sales market as well. But honestly,
that's totally fine. That's totally fine. I still have another question concerning the UK property market, even though it's not like your.
Ask away. I'll see what I can do.
Exactly. I read this week. I read a very interesting article about like property market listings or listings in the UK, seeing that let's say, there was a website and they analyzed the data of search queries on the website and say, yes, obviously due to coronavirus, the search queries have gone down. This triggered a lot of people not listing as much anymore. Since you're from your portal listings standpoint, can you confirm that saying agents go that far to say, yes, web traffic has gone down? This would also go in line with what you said in the very beginning, and that's why I stop listing right now. I maybe do some more brand building, and then would you say, yes, we will definitely also, based on the coronavirus, we will see like a tendency that property market or the valuation of property listings might go down. What's your opinion there?
This is, funny enough, this is a topic that again has been quite relevant, I think. Property leads have dropped significantly over the last 3 months. But that's because people can't fly out and can't do any property viewings. That is not an excuse, excuse is the wrong word, but that is not a reason for reduction in property prices. because the property itself is always the same. There's nothing that's going to drastically change to a property in 3 months' time. There will undoubtedly be some people that are going to come in, and when they view a property, there will undoubtedly be some people that will offer low amounts because they feel that people will have become desperate to sell. But I don't think there is no reason as to why an agent should be reducing their prices. It really depends on the buyer. There is an argument that the global economy, because of the downturn in the global economy, it might affect property values. But at the moment, there isn't enough evidence to suggest that. I think if there is going to be an effect, you certainly won't see it now. You might see it in a few months' time to come. It depends on how long this situation lasts for. But I think property will only be reduced if the seller is desperate to sell. Otherwise, I don't think this virus is a worthy reason to go, right, okay, well, we need to reduce property listings because we need to sell properties. No. It's, if anything, it's more of a reason to actually sell the property itself rather than sell it on price. But yeah, it's a difficult one. It is a difficult one.
It is very, I think, multifaceted, and I think there's so many elements triggering the, let's say, because you just mentioned perfectly, the only trigger is that the seller wants to sell. Okay, so what's the trigger to sell? You need cash, or you don't have the mortgage, which you can, or you cannot feed the mortgage anymore, which means you got laid off and your life situation has changed dramatically suddenly, and you just cannot afford to have that house, or you need to feed something else, which costs a lot of money.
It should be on the seller to reduce the price. Obviously, just in general terms, obviously there are times where, if an agent's had a property on the books for a significant amount of time, then there is that moment where you need to say, right, okay, well, we've tried this, we've tried that, we've tried the other, we haven't been able to sell it. Should we look at a price reduction? But do it at the right time. I think is a big thing. The last 3 months, I don't think it's going to affect property values too much. And don't forget as well, as I think a big thing that will come out of all of this is there is positivity in the market. There will be positivity in the market. The market will bounce back. It always has done, and it will bounce back. And as soon as that happens, if you've reduced that price too early, then you're going to find it very, very difficult to then put that price back up again.
Yeah, absolutely.
So do it at the right time. I don't think it's the right time to do it now.
And especially, I also talked to several agents who said, before, once your agent says we have to reduce the price, please look for 2 or 3 other agents, because it's the easiest to tell that to a seller, to say, hey, we have to reduce the price. No, let's do and try to do a little bit more effort via PPM, for example, via some branding, via some certain marketing tools, in order to get the most out of it.
Yeah, always. I think as an agent, when you have that conversation with your seller, just always make sure that you covered every avenue. Have you done the best thing you can for that seller? Have you put them in emails? Have you promoted their property on social media? Have you advertised it in the right portals? Have you, where have you pushed that property? If you can go to your seller and you can say, well, look, we've had your property on for 5 months, or however long you've had the property on for. We've done this. We've pushed it on email. We've pushed it on social media. We've pushed it in all of these different places, and we're just not getting what we'd hoped we get for it. Then of course that's the right time to suggest a price reduction. But if you haven't done those things, then to be frank, you've got no leg to stand on. You've got to make sure that you've done the very, very best you can for that seller.
Christopher, perfect. Thank you. Your contact details. How can people reach out to you?
The best way to do it is via email. So that's info@propertyportalmarketing.com or info@propertysharenetwork.com. Or it's got the telephone number on there as well. I'm always around. I've had clients ring me at 3 o'clock in the morning before. So I'm always around. If you have anything that you need, obviously, if it is 3 o'clock in the morning, I'd prefer an email. But not that I want now. After this, now I'm going to get loads of calls at 3 o'clock in the morning. So
don't worry, they're gonna come. I have a lot of people from Latin America. No worries.
But look, if the best thing to do is if you are in one of those far-flung tropical destinations, send me an email. We'll arrange a time, and then we can have a chat. But yeah, I'm always available for clients.
Perfect. What are your last words which you would like to share with our audience?
Analyze. That is a big thing. Not enough agents do it. Just make sure when it comes to your marketing, analyze, spend money in the right online areas, and get the right strategy for your agency, and you can be successful.
Awesome. Christopher, thank you so much. I send the best regards, and stay especially healthy, you and your family.
Yes.
That's the most important thing right now. Stay inside. I think we always have to, all of us, we have to stay inside and not be around others.
Try to have a good Easter.
Yeah, you too. Thank you so much, and thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate that you talked to us. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thanks, Michael. Take care now. Bye-bye.